You might remember us, the ones in the red shirts.
We can't afford guns being the leading cause of death for children and teens in this country.
Whether you're Republicans or Democrats, you can't look away.
We're not going to shut up until we get the change we deserve.
Thoughts and prayers are no longer enough. We need to take action now.
You didn't get this far by saying you can't. You didn't get this far by just being mediocre. You moms demand action, and that's what we demand.
Welcome to Movement Builders, a show about the people ending gun violence in America, all of us.
I'm Kaylin Ford.
And I'm Nikita McDaniel. Y'all, September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and today's conversation is a powerful one with two incredible advocates. Our guests today do this work in honor of their brothers who died by suicide, and we're going to talk about some challenging topics. So before we begin, I would like to invite everyone to take care of yourselves while you're listening and to remind you that if you or a loved one needs support, help is available right now and always. Call 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline to speak with someone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Thanks, Nikita. And just a reminder that folks can call, text, or chat the 988 Lifeline anytime. And I'm looking forward to our conversation today because Suicide Prevention Awareness Month is an important time for our movement. It's a time to honor our loved ones who have been taken by suicide and shatter the stigma and silence that have existed for far too long. Because tragically, so many families have been impacted by suicide. And we know from doing this work for decades that gun safety laws and secure storage policies have a huge role to play in saving lives.
That's right, Kaylin. We know that access to firearms in a moment of crisis can mean the difference between living through that hard time and not. In fact, 56% of gun deaths in America are suicides. And while we take this month to honor and uplift the voices of families who've been impacted, it's also an important time for us to raise awareness about the role that firearms play in suicide. And there are so many things, y'all, that we can do when it comes to prevention and intervention.
Yes, and I'm so excited because our guests today are already doing that life-saving work in their communities. We're honored to be joined by Eline Morabito, the Survivor and Extreme Risk Protection Order Lead with the Michigan Great Lakes Bay Region Local Group of Moms Demand Action, and Barb Smith, the founder of the Barb Smith Suicide and Response Resource Network. Eline and Barb, welcome to Movement Builders.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us. Yes.
Yes, Eline and Barb, we want to start off by definitely honoring your loved ones. So, and both of you had brothers that were taken by suicide. So just in whatever way feels comfortable for you, could you all share a memory of them with us? And I'll ask you to go first, Eline.
Thank you. And thank you for allowing me to share and honor my brother Todd in this forum. He was my only sibling, and we had a close relationship. I was in the role of being the older protective sister most of his life, and he was a caring person and would help anyone who needed it at the time. And I'm going to share a favorite memory. When he was about 10, he was getting bullied by some neighborhood boys. And so we always laughed about this story. It was his favorite story that I came out of the house because he ran in and I was chasing these young boys down the street. And all he remembered was I had these big pink fuzzy slippers on and all he could see were the slippers flying down the street. And I think I might have tossed them at these young boys. Yeah. So we always laughed, and I do own a pair of pink slippers, so when I'm missing him, I slip on my slippers and honor him in that way. So that was our favorite memory.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. I'm that way over my sister. Like I'm telling you, yes, I'll come get you.
That's right.
And pink slippers.
That's right, and pink slippers.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that memory.
You're welcome. Thank you for allowing me.
Todd.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing his memory.
What about you, Barb?
My brother John was 20 years old when he took his life. We're a family of 9. I say they're Polish Catholics, right? So we're a family of 9. And I am number 7 and he was number 6. So he was one above me. And he was always, again, as Eline said, like he was my protector, but he was my protector. who I could date, when I should date them and when I should not. But my favorite memory of him is kind of a silly one because we were a family of traditions, and my mom was Greek. So we do the breaking of the eggs on Easter. I don't know if you ever see the cracking of the eggs. So you color them, you put your name on there, and I happened to be sitting to his right. So when he went to crack my egg, he colored my raw egg. And so my egg went all over my Easter dress.
Oh my God.
Oh my.
Funny. He thought it was funny. So now, even though I'm a lot older, I'm always like shaking the egg to make sure it's cooked before we play that game. So yeah, he had lots of humor. He had a kind heart. He was the one everybody went to. He would do anything for anyone, and he was a very hard worker. So a lot of times people who die by suicide have the biggest hearts that they wear on their sleeves, right? They hurt the deepest, they love the most. So
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for sharing John with us.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
John.
John. I know the advocacy that you do in honor of John and Todd has helped so many other people in crisis in your community. It's really incredible work and it's life-saving work. Could you each share a little bit more about what brought you to this gun violence prevention movement in particular? Why don't you go first, Barb?
Well, because my brother did use a gun for his suicide, and we know that when guns are accessible, they're loaded, they're ready to go, that the impulsivity, that there's not a lot of time to change their mind. And some people will debate us on this, right? Like, oh, they'll use another method. But we know all research states that if we put a little bit of time and a little more effort in between, that we can prevent death to suicide. And
That's right.
my brother is an avid hunter. He was an avid hunter, as well as my other siblings. So for us, it would not be abnormal to have a loaded gun in the house. But we try to advocate wherever I speak to remind people of, yes, you can be an avid hunter, but the important part is to make sure that the bullets are separated from the guns. We're not telling you to not hunt, but we're just asking you to take it one step further and to just do safe storage. So I feel it's very important, especially with younger people in the homes. They get comfortable with the guns. And I heard a speaker recently, because we're always getting educated, and he said the average time that the homeowner owned that gun that was used before a suicide is 11 years.
Wow.
So that really validates that people get a little, I don't want to say sloppy or messy, like we just get comfortable having the guns in the home.
Yes.
And we forget we gave the combination. We forget we gave them the location of the key at one time. So again, I think that we just bring a reality to people that we're not telling you what to do, but here's some really good facts and information, and then take it and use it the way you wish.
What about you, Eline?
So, as Barb is saying, I'm from a multi-generational family of hunters. My husband and I are responsible gun owners as well. Todd was an avid outdoorsman and hunter who inherited and owned multiple firearms. Unfortunately, he entered a state of depression and addiction, and he lived in Pennsylvania. So he did not live in Michigan. That is our home state. So it wasn't that I was with him often, but we would call every day. And I tried everything by contacting law enforcement to see if I could have the firearms maybe removed temporarily. We tried friends and family, but he just did not want to give up possession of the firearms. And he did die of the firearm suicide. So I believe that if I had the opportunity to pursue an IRPA order and temporarily possibly remove the guns just until he sought help, we could have maybe had a different outcome. And I also was concerned for law enforcement from being out of state. I had a great relationship with the local law enforcement that would do well checks on him. Mm-hmm. And as much as he would never harm anyone, there were other people living in the home that I was concerned for law enforcement going into the home, that I would always say, there are loaded firearms. Please be aware of that. So it's my belief that family members and loved ones are sometimes usually the first to be aware of these situations and these issues. So after his suicide, I really struggled to figure out if there was something I could have done. And I didn't never read about what IRPA was, the Extreme Risk Protection Order. And Pennsylvania does not have one. And at that time, Michigan did not have one either. So after doing a lot of reading and research, I joined the local Moms Demand Action Group, with the goal of advocating for gun violence prevention, education efforts, and legislation in his honor.
Wow, Eline, thank you. That is so powerful. And your work, I'm sure, as the ERPO lead, Michigan now has an ERPO law thanks to your advocacy, the advocacy of moms, students, and survivors of gun violence. You made that happen for other families. Thank you. Thank you for your advocacy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And for a very, very long time, there's been so much silence and stigma around talking about a loved one who has died by suicide.
Yeah.
And we've come a long way. We obviously have further to go, right?
Yeah.
There's still stigma and silence that people experience. I wonder if either of you had that when you lost your brother. Was it hard at first to talk about it? And how does that make that grieving process even more difficult and even more lonely, to not be able to just openly talk about their memory or your experience?
Eline, you could go first.
Okay. I did have it. My mother, she still is living in her 80s, and she lived in a different state, so it was a matter of trying to get to someone to her because I was contacted. And it's still very difficult for her. She knows the advocacy work I do, but it's still a very difficult topic, as well as my immediate families, my husband, my children. It's very okay to have that open conversation. Mm-hmm. I still find that some friends, they're very supportive of my advocacy, but I think they're afraid they're going to hurt me if they bring up the subject. Yes. So I have a little bit of both on some, that there's still a little bit of a stigma, and I do try, especially because I knew my brother suffered with a sudden addiction issue. And so that's a whole other, I think, stigma that goes with it. And so I work to advocate for that as well.
Thank you, Eline. Thank you for sharing that.
So much.
I say that I have one brother that died from cancer, a brother-in-law that died from a car crash, and I have a brother that died from suicide. None of them were wrong. None of them were bad people. None of them were evil people. Right. And none of them meant to hurt us in their death. It's their cause of death, and it's how they died. So I use it to also, because I don't know why, and maybe Eline knows this, but when my brother first died, I'd say, yes, he took his life. But he was a really good person, and you would really like him. He's really funny. I always felt like I had to defend who he was.
Yes, I agree.
And when my brother, when my brother died from cancer, I'm like, he died from cancer. It's sad. And I don't mean to disrespect him, but it was like, I felt like I had to defend the brother that died by suicide.
Yes.
I don't want people thinking he was a bad person or we were a bad family. So there is stigma to that.
I agree.
Yeah.
The work you're both doing is definitely combating that stigma. Continue to do that and change and transform lives.
Barb, I want to talk a little bit about your organization that you founded, because you've made a huge impact. In 2023, you provided 100 suicide prevention trainings to 16,000 people, including first responders, educators, healthcare providers, and other members of your community. That is amazing. That is a huge reach and impact for a small organization. You should be immensely proud. Tell us a little bit about the approach that you take to suicide prevention in your work.
We did 100 events and trainings. So it wasn't like training every day, but events, awareness events, health fairs, things like that. But I feel like there's a lot of money out there. And thank you to Everytown for granting us our monies. But it awards us the opportunity to deliver these trainings. The best way to prevent postvention is to do prevention. So we can work with families bereaved by suicide, because that is one of our main roles as well, is we work with individuals following a death to suicide. But I want to go upstream. I want to teach people what to look for, how to have an open conversation about suicide, how to secure guns in a safe way without taking away the guns, but really to empower people that it is okay to have a conversation about suicide. Years ago, we could not get into any schools or organizations. Like, that was not going to happen, right? We do a couple trainings a year, and I literally did one Tuesday this week, today, and Friday. So now people are calling us, we need this training, we need more. When I left the training today, 3 of the participants want us to go to another school district. They want us to come to their organization.
Wow.
So if you do well and you deliver impactful training, which we use Safe Talk Assist and awareness. So we use evidence-based trainings, and then I've developed our own based on the time and who our audience is. So, if you do a well-written program and you follow it, it becomes very effective. Like, I don't just get up and share my story, which years ago, that's what we did. Right. But now people want a little bit of awareness, but what they want is they want skills and they want tools. Yes. And I'm so happy with that, because I think awareness campaigns are important, like I do. But I always tell people that's like being on the Cheerios box. Eat right, eat smart. Okay, we can do that. But some people have bad hearts. We have bad genes. And we still need people trained in CPR, because people are going to have heart attacks. People are going to, have medical issues, and we need to know how to respond to that. So awareness programs are good, and they're great, and I do them all the time. But I think it's the skill building that's equally as important.
Yes.
So we wrote a lot of grants, and we got grant monies from all of you, and our role and our goal is to train 30,000 people this year. Like, we need people trained. Yeah.
30,000 people.
Yeah.
And that's so powerful, Barb, because like you said, those tools and what I can do is incredibly powerful. And we hear so often on the podcast from the advocates and amazing volunteers we interview that when they go out into the community, that's what people want to hear about. They want to hear about the actions they can take, because we've got the politics and we've got the laws that we want to pass, and all of that work is important. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes the political climate is not in our control, right? We're doing what we can and in the circumstances we find ourselves in. But that individual action and those individual tools and techniques that we can have to help folks through a tough time, to help educate folks about secure storage to protect children, teens, other loved ones in their home, those important steps can be taken immediately. Somebody can change those behaviors today, and that's really powerful work. So thank you for doing it.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. It just reminded me why I do the work that I do here at Everytown and in my community. Just this weekend did a youth mental health first aid training.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And certified more mental health first aiders in our community. So thank you. And Eline.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about extreme risk protection orders and that law in Michigan. And thank you again. You, the moms, worked tirelessly, the students, all of the survivors to make that happen. Could you share with us the work that you do as your ERPO lead and a survivor lead in your local group?
Yes, thank you. So I have been our local survivor lead for about 7 years now when I first joined. And really at that time, it was meeting and emailing and dialoguing with the legislators in Michigan about my personal story and just the aspects of secure storage, extreme risk, with the goal of hoping that they would get passed. And thankfully enough, in 2024, those 4 pieces of legislation got passed. And I have to say, one of them was signed by Governor Whitmer on my brother's birthday. Wow. So that was especially joyous.
Very joyous.
For me that day. It's ongoing. I get invited to human libraries, which the universities hold, that for the students that you can share your personal stories and advocacy. I also support nonprofit groups who serve those who lost loved ones to firearm homicide and community gun violence intervention groups. I share the Everytown Survivor Network and peer-to-peer network information, as well as I share Barb's information for her resource network, especially if people are looking for local or regional support and resources. So I support people who have experienced gun violence in all forms. More recently, I am taken on the responsibility of the ERPO lead for the region. I really think public education is key and believe this law is applicable to prevention of suicides, mass shootings, anything with domestic, maybe a violent situation. Our state lead has been great at hosting online training for stakeholders and the general public. So I've been trying to distribute that information to mental health and healthcare professionals, school administration, county and city public health departments, as well as posting it on social media, my own personal, as well as our groups. We distribute a Michigan ERPO information sheet, which explains the law and highlights a toolbox of gun access interventions, including secure storage, out-of-home storage, includes details on the ERPO. So there's a toolbox of things that informational sheet provides, and we do it at different tabling events. I've shared it with the county and public health departments here locally, as well as recently our senior center. I happened to read that, and Barb probably knows this, that there's been an increase in suicide of elderly men. So I just thought I would share that. And I also share the 988 business cards. I drop those off at organizations and businesses. So maybe someone, if they want to take a quick card and keep it with them, they have that information as well. So it's been very rewarding seeing the law get passed and being able to help communicate the public education on this.
You are so powerful.
Yes, she is.
Thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing. And I don't know if you realized it or not, just sharing that here on this podcast, I'm pretty sure our listeners are getting tons of more ideas.
Thank you.
So it's so important that you share your work, and we're holding the space for y'all to elevate that. Just wanted to
Thank you. I appreciate
point that out. Yes, thank you. And Barb, I just have to say, when I found out about the amazing work that you're doing, I was really intrigued by all of it, first of all. I'm going to ask us to talk about the power of secure storage when it comes to protecting teens and young people from firearm suicide. And I know that your trainings encourage young people to tell a trusted adult. So I'm here for you to share more about that. We're here for that.
Sure. So we call it our perfect model of training. So we call it a tiered level. So we go in and we try and do a community assist training, which is 2 full days, recognize the concern for suicide, getting comfortable in a deeper conversation, and then developing the SAFE plan, which includes, safe storage, removing the method, having a deeper safety planning, more of a detail, not just writing something out, but practicing it, playing it out, and all of those things. So that is the assist training. So we trained about 30 people. Then we go back in, and like today was a PD day. So then we went back in and we trained all the staff on a half-a-day training and the importance of if someone discloses their method, and then also in your own home. And I'm very clear on that because I also lost a sister-in-law to suicide after my brother, and the importance of, we did ask her about her thoughts of suicide, but we never thought to remove the method because she said no, but we knew she was high risk. So part of it is, I'm very clear when I talk to the adults, I'm here to train you for your students, but I want you to think about your own homes, your own partners, your own spouses, and don't ever think and don't ever believe that your loved one would not do this. So if they're struggling, if they're in a bad space, the gun should be out of the house, or they should definitely be locked up with the bullets separate from the guns. I'm really clear on that message. And it might be a 5 or 3 minutes out of the half a day, but I'm very clear on that. And then we go back in and then we talk to the kids, the student body. So now we're going back in and talking to 400 students, and we talk about, this is what depression looks like. If your friends say this, if they text this, if they Facebook this, if they tweet this, if you have any indication that they're in a bad space, or they're threatening to harm themselves or someone else, tell a trusted adult. And we go right through a screen with your parent, your coach, your teacher, your own parents. Or if your friend's texting you from their bedroom and talking about wanting to die, text the parent on the other line and say, you need to go check on Joey, I'm really worried about him. But stop holding it a secret. I tell them I'm an adult, and I always call in another adult when someone says yes to suicide, and I know what I'm doing, but I always tell another trusted adult because I don't want to be the only person that knows their secret. That's too much responsibility. And I tell kids, we are losing kids every day. In Saginaw County, we lost 32 people to suicide. 16 were by gunshots in 2024. That is way too many. And right now, I think we're at 24 suicides. And probably 60% were gunshots. So I don't always talk about methods when I talk about how my brother took his life, because that's not safe messaging. But when I talk about, when your friends talk about it, you need to tell their parent.
Yes.
If you don't trust their parent, or maybe they're not parents who are good listeners, then you tell your coach, or you tell your best friend, your other friend's parent. And so the importance of, we can't tell kids to tell a trusted adult if we don't go in first and teach the adults what to do when the kids come forward.
That's right.
That's right.
Right. And we used to go and talk to all these students in all these schools. But now we're realizing that if I tell a student to come talk to you and you panic, like, talk to the student. Let them know that I trust you. I'm not scared for you. I care for you, but let's figure out a way to deal with whatever problems you have. But let's do it safe. You know what I mean? Like, we should not shame or guilt people or fear people for telling us their truth about their thoughts of suicide. But let's come up with a plan to keep you safe and to let you know that I care enough about you that we're going to create a plan between your family in school or other adults. Well, let's get you into counseling. Let's find another way to decrease your pain besides suicide.
Yes.
That's my story.
So much of what you do helps to break the stigma too around it.
Yeah. Do you know what
Thank you for
happened at
doing
one of my trainings? I have to tell you, I always smile at this one because it happened recently, but we did a training for a youth camp over the summer. These were going to be leaderships for, it was a youth camp in a little county. So I'm talking to the students. We always show them the gun locks. We take gun locks wherever we go. And I showed the students, like, you know, if you have guns in your house, tell your mom and dad that you would like them locked up because you want to keep everybody safe. Like, be the leader in your house.
Right.
And a kid puts up his hand. He's like 12 years old. And he goes, I know how to use a gun lock. I goes, you do? He goes, yeah, my uncle was in the military. And he's always about keeping us safe because he loves us. It was so cool, you guys. He goes, can I show my friends how to use it? And I'm like, yeah. He was demonstrating. I have a picture of it. He was demonstrating to his other friends how to use a gun lock. Is that the coolest thing ever?
That is very cool.
Yeah. So his uncle loved him enough to keep him safe, is how he said it.
And he knew that.
Yeah, and he wanted to show his friends. So I have all these kids like sitting around at this camp, or it was indoor camp, and he's showing them, and they're all practicing using their gun locks. It was so cool. Yeah,
That's amazing. Amazing story.
I think that's so powerful, and it speaks to that holistic approach that you're taking, that you're talking to the young folks about what they should say, what students can say to a peer, to a trusted adult, but also talking to the trusted adult about how to receive that information and act on it in a meaningful and authentic and respectful way, because you need both components of that. You need the teller of the truth, right? And you need the listener of the truth. And that is not always easy to facilitate. And so that is incredible work. And it's really looking at it in such a whole healthy way. Thank you so much for sharing that, Barb.
I love that story. And it's new. It's only happened this summer.
That's
so
great.
I love it. Barb, you also work a lot with out-of-home storage options and advocating for those, which is so important because we know that secure firearm storage is a continuum, and, gun locks are wonderful. We love gun locks. We love gun safes. We love all of those in-home storage options. But storing a gun at home, even securely when someone is in crisis, might not be enough. So what do those out-of-home storage options look like, and what do you educate people on?
I like to use the CALM training. Have had the CALM, collaboratively and assessing lethal means, I think that is. And I really just encourage, especially our veterans, because nobody's taking my gun. I'm like, okay. So then what you say is, who do you want to take care of your guns for you? Who do you trust to keep you and your family safe? And how might you do that? And so we never say, let's take your guns. I just had a suicide of a older gentleman, and he had adult kids all at home, and the wife, because I always take the gun that was used. But I said, are there other guns in the house that maybe it'd be important that somebody take and store in another place? And one of the sons, like, my mom's okay with this. My dad's always had guns. And it's so hard at a scene to not make people feel guilty. But I'm like, well, I think that let's just send a message to the whole family that we are going to keep our guns safe and we're going to keep our family safe. So who do you guys want to take these guns? It wasn't like, do you want to? Who do you? But I think when you educate people, you empower them and they're more likely to comply. Right? Because they understand. When my sister-in-law took her life, I said to my older brother, I said, we need to bring the guns out of the house. He goes, he's fine. because they're up at 100. He's fine. And so I went to my little brother, at this age, he's 43, and I'm like, he's my little brother. And I goes, look, we've already lost 2 people to suicide here. We're all in a vulnerable space, and who do you want to take care of your guns for you just till you get in a better headspace? And he brought them out of the closet and out of the room, and he just handed me all his guns. He said, yeah, you better take them out.
Yeah.
So we removed them and put them at another home. We didn't take them, but we allowed him to decide whose home they were going to go in. And that's
powerful.
important. And then, it's just, we need to keep people safe from themselves and from others, because we have a lot of homicides here too. So we got to teach the kids. If you're at someone's home and you see a lot of guns, go home and tell an adult or tell your teacher, and let's see if they can help figure out how to keep your friends safe.
Wow. No, that's very powerful.
Very powerful.
Got me to thinking about some things. I'm glad you all had this partnership that you do. Eline, I know that the moms in your local group are also working in a partnership with Barb's organization. So look, you're all teaming up together.
We are.
That's how we make impact. I always tell
That's right.
people,
That's
anybody
exactly right.
can change a thing, right? And we create impact when we're seeing the same vision and we're working together. So I think that's amazing, incredible work that you all are doing. Eline, would you like to share how you all are working, what you got coming up for September and beyond?
Sure. First, we were honored to have the opportunity to table highlighting the Be Smart Secure Storage and share some of the ERPO information at Barb's Suicide Prevention Walk for Hope. It is an incredible event that
We
they
had 25.
host. Yes.
2,500 people came.
Wow,
I
2,500
attended.
people.
It is
Oh
a
my God.
really, really incredible event. We've done this the past few years, and she's also invited us to table at other opportunities. So we really, really appreciate the opportunity to do that. And we were able to nominate her organization for a grant because of their amazing work, outreach, and the track record of success. Talking about for September, I know Barb is a year-long suicide prevention work. Same with us. We do a few special events. I do a massive 988 card distribution to the local community, to businesses and organizations. We reach out to our faith communities and ask if they would post the information, if you belong to a faith community, within their social media, their newsletter to their members. And again, I've been working with the local county health department. And again, I know Barb's information is there as well as the senior center. And so the work continues all year long. We highlight a few things in September and advocate, but I think our work is ongoing.
And I think our partnership has been beautiful. I'm glad you came to the walk.
It was wonderful.
At the end, it was so beautiful. We started with empty flower pots, like the big under the window flower pots. We had 24 feet. We passed around flowers, and we asked people, if you lost a spouse, please plant your seed. And so they would come and they would plant their flower, like just basically put it in a foam. And we got done. It became this beautiful, beautiful planter. Just gorgeous. And
I have goosebumps.
Did you plant yours?
Hearing that.
I did, and I did plant mine, and they did an incredible, I think the one activity, the one year's was Legos, and they put colorful Legos on a chain, and it was, you would connect it to you, and whoever you lost, there's a different color representing. And it was really impactful to see the chains and the necklaces of those who have lost loved ones to suicide. So kudos to your event. It's an amazing, incredible event.
Well, it lets people know that they're not alone. So when you watched because if you lost a spouse, step forward, and you started to see people trickle in, and then they'd look at other spouses, and then they would come up, and then they would hug up there because they came up alone, right? Because their spouse was deceased. Or if you lost a parent, and seeing all these little kids walk forward, just it broke your heart. And then one of my survivors, she sang 2 beautiful songs, and we're up on the stage and we're watching. And as she's singing the song, because her husband had suicided, and we asked if you've lost a parent, and seeing her 2 kids walk up and plant at the same time, I'm like, oh. But it was such a moving time for everybody, and it's just beautiful.
It was. And what struck me, again, it's amazing that the groups of walkers, and those who have had loss, they design their shirts. And they have pictures, and just it is an incredible sea of different groups with different shirts honoring their loved ones. It is amazing.
And we're going to work together on Make the Right Call. It's a campaign we're using. So if anybody wants to get involved, and I'm sure, Eline, you know that. So basically, it's the 211, which is all your local resources, and then 988 if you are a suicide crisis, and then 911 should be our last resort because we need to get people upstream and get them help and support. So that's been a really great campaign that we've been working on in our region. So we develop like magnets and different swag. So I will get you some of that as well because we need people to have everything at their fingertips. 211, 988, or 911. Three different options.
Thank you. It is a great resource.
Yeah. 211 will help you with closing and housing and simple things in life that cause us to go into distress. And then if you get into distress, call 988, and after 988, if we can't help you meet your needs, then let's call the police. But let's go upstream as much as possible.
Yes.
I'd love to see that go nationwide. That would be powerful.
Could possibly do it nationwide. We actually have a 211 number here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It used to be operated by our United Way.
It is. Most of them are United Way.
Yep. So now I'm like, hey, I'm going to take that and share that back into my community.
Sure.
Especially with our folks out here on the front lines. I mean, that's a powerful idea.
Yeah, I'll send you the template. And then if you want me to send you a package, we have magnets. And then we have smaller pocket cards. And then we have posters. So we did them 3 different ways.
Excellent. Yeah, because a lot of people were like, we don't know when, maybe you should be calling 911. Maybe you should be calling 988. And it's a great, very short, but very good segmented explanation.
Simple. Stop being so complicated.
I love that. And giving folks the tools they need to make the right call themselves.
And in November, we're bringing in Donna Sherman. She's a world speaker on grief, and she's coming for our survivors to talk about hope through grief. And she does a beautiful job. It's at the Bavarian Lodge. We'll have about 175 survivors usually on that day. We have resource tables as well. So, we want our survivors to have a voice. We have a veterans group right now who are doing amazing work with the VA and spokespersons. So we don't want our survivors to just sit in their pain their whole life. We want them to have a voice and to empower them. So that's really our goal. But our partnership, we're working with the health department. I think we've distributed 2,500 gun locks so far. And we work with law enforcement a lot. So we have a victims advocate group where we go to the homes of homicide, suicide, baby deaths, any traumatic deaths. So we just had homicide recently of a child. Yeah, tragic. But we were able to help that mom immediately following who had 2 surviving children. And we worked with the fire department to get 2 car seats because it happened in a car. So we were able to get her help, get her some trauma help, get help for the victim's compensation. So we do a lot in our group. We don't want just people to grieve and walk alone, right? We want them to be supported if we can't prevent.
You're not going to get away with the question that we ask everyone on the podcast. Okay. This work is very intense and it's heavy. And we always check in with our guests to see how you're taking care of yourself. So I'll ask you, Eline, to go first.
Okay.
And share what you do to take care of yourself.
When COVID came, I'm an avid gardener, love to garden. And my husband built me a small greenhouse.
Oh, wow.
So, especially because the cold winters, sometimes it's a little too cold. So the sun's shining. I find that I spend time in my greenhouse and starting my plants. And then this summer, we do have a large garden that I go out and spend time in the garden and either harvest or weed and love nature walks. Michigan has such a beautiful Great Lakes. I love being on the water, and so we camp. So I find that quiet time in any of those places really helps me reflect and heal, meditate, pray, and navigate my feelings. So that's how I do self-care.
That's beautiful. I love that.
I love that too, yes. How about you, Barb?
I have my Christian music I turn on when it's been a hard day. I tend to focus on work and numbers and budgets and things. Like I focus from the emotional part to the business part if I need to do it quickly. My grandkids make me happy, so sometimes I'll call and say, what did you guys do today? And it just brings me to the life side when I live in so much death. So it's really like just checking in with the grandkids. And then, you know, if I need to do it quickly in the car, I just turn on my Christian music and I bring myself to a peaceful place.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, we check in with everyone, all of our guests. No one gets away from here with that.
okay.
Since we're on that topic, we also ask our guests to share their favorite podcasts, TV shows, or any plays you like to go see, books you read. Got any recommendations for us?
I've been reading Kristen Hanna, is one of my favorite
Kristen
authors.
Hanna, yes.
So I finished like
Obsessed.
the last 3 of her books
Obsessed.
in the last year. So she has been my new favorite author. And I have to say, like Barb, I have young grandchildren, 3 young grandsons that they bring such joy. The joy is immeasurable. So that's also how we spend our free time. But she's my new author that can't put the book down. So
Oh, yes.
That resonates with me, Eline, because I discovered her by reading The Women.
that's my favorite.
That was my favorite, but I hadn't heard of her before that. And a
Okay.
friend of mine recommended that book, and then I just could not get enough. And
Yeah.
I was on my library app. My local library has like an app that you
Yes.
can get ebooks to your Kindle, and I just queued up. I got in line for every single one of her
Yes,
books, and
yes.
then when they became available and it was my turn, I would read them, and just transformative. So many powerful characters. So I'm with you there.
Yeah.
What about you, Barb?
I just listen to the radio or my
Good.
Alexa. Yeah, just music. I don't read. I've had
That's
COVID
okay.
3 times, so I brain fog, so I can't stay focused. I know, is that crazy? And I don't know how to turn on a TV or remote. So this is so funny. So music, and I also really sit in a lot of peace. Like I'm fine driving on a 10-hour trip to go train somewhere and just drive in silence.
Yep.
Yes.
That is so nice to be able to sit with that silence. And that sometimes takes practice, whether it's meditation or just training yourself to be able to let some of the thoughts and the to-do lists fall by the wayside, especially in our busy lives. That can be really
Yes.
hard to do.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. We are so grateful for your work, and it's been incredibly inspiring for us to hear about it today. Before we go, is there any message that you wanted to share or anything you want to say to our Moms Demand Action and Students Demand Action volunteers, many of them survivors of gun violence as well, like yourselves, as they continue to do this work in their communities?
I first want to thank Barb for the incredible work you do in our area and the resources and support. I also want to thank our leadership team for their support and encouragement over the past 7 years, because it wasn't easy for me. Sometimes the legislative route was very difficult, having conversations that
Yes.
seemed that were going nowhere. And they just kept cheering me on and supporting. So my local leadership team, just a shout out to them, because they have been very supportive through everything.
That's awesome. Thank you.
I would just like to encourage anyone who's been impacted by tragedy to take your tragedy and find purpose for your pain. I've never been the one that believes that everything happens for a reason. I know that's helpful to some people, but for me, I needed to find purpose for my pain, because tragedy changes you, but it does not have to destroy you. And don't ever
Yes.
forget that message is, what are we going to do to honor who these people were in life and not let their death define who they were. It's how they died. It's not who they were.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very inspirational, ladies.
Well, I appreciate everything that you have all done for our
Yes.
network to help us grow and to get our word and our message across. So thank each and every
Thank
one of you.
y'all.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on the podcast. It's been a pleasure to talk to you about your work. And I know our volunteer leaders out there will find it very inspirational as well. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Anytime, my friends. Y'all, this conversation was so powerful, inspiring, and essential. I am so grateful we have folks like Barb and Eline in this fight with us. And like we said before, help is always available by calling, texting, or chatting the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
Thanks, Nikita. And thanks to all of you for listening. And if you haven't already, make sure to check us out on Spotify. You can hit follow to automatically get new episodes in your feed.
Yes, and keep reaching out, y'all. We love hearing your thoughts, feedback, and stories at movementbuilders@everytown.org. And again, it's movementbuilders@everytown.org.
Thanks for listening to Movement Builders, y'all. I'm Kaylin.
And I'm Nikita. Thank you for all you do to save lives. it's working.